In 2013, director Zack Snyder and writer David S. Goyer, and probably a couple other people, sat down to think about where to go with the Man of Steel franchise. What would Superman do next? Where would his journey take them? Who would he punch in the face? And then someone came up with the brilliant idea. What if he meets Batman? That is supposed to be the sentence that brought us to where we are today. What a fucking load of bullshit. Here we are in 2016, finally seeing Batman v Superman, a movie that took 3 years to get ready. 3 years! Now, one may think, but that's perfectly normal. Well, not when you say your movie's going to come out in 2015, hype us all up, drop all your big casting announcements, and then we need to push it back another year for the script. From the minute this script pushback happened, was nervous, because generally when that happens, when you need to get the gears moving on everything, that's usually not a good sign. And the thing is, a lot of people told me, well, I'm sure it's just to get the movie ready, you need to make it right, you need to do all this and that. Well, now here we are, and no, they did not do that. This movie is not right at all. I know this film's getting slammed by critics, and fans are very split on it. And look, I know there's not a ton I can add to it, but I do have a couple things to add to the debate about this movie. But first up, the general thing about it is that this movie is a mess. It's nothing but 2.5 hours of random scenes that kind of come together to form a movie, but none of it really ever feels cohesive, or there's any narrative to it, or storytelling. All this stuff they've been building up in the trailers, and the commercials, and the interviews never comes into play. And that's because every time it tries to, the movie just goes to another different scene. Want to talk about Superman's effect on the world? Nope, we gotta cut back to Bruce Wayne trying to find kryptonite. Want to talk about Bruce Wayne as he has to deal with the concept of an alien who could destroy all of us? Nope, we've got a weird scene between Clark and Lois. Want to focus on Lex Luthor and his crazy plan? Nope, we got to get back to something else. This movie just has so many plot points going on, it's ridiculous. And the thing is all I'm sitting there thinking watching this movie is they had 3 years. They gave themselves an extra year to work on the script, and for what? It was literally just to cram in more references and more things to cater to the fanboys who are like, it's all gotta be dark and serious, even though one's a guy in a big blue onesie, the other dresses like a freaking bat. And that's kind of all I can summarize about this movie. It has no idea what it's trying to do, what it wants to be, or anything like that. I don't understand what it's going for. I don't understand what it's trying to do. I don't understand the scenes in this movie. I was in a theater of people who looked completely lost half the time. This film is just a train wreck and a mess. But is there anything good about it? Yes, there are actually. This is not the worst movie I've ever seen. I've seen worse superhero movies. Superman 4, Batman and Robin, Fant 4 Stick. No, this is not the worst movie ever. It's just sort of all this build-up and all this anticipation was for nothing. But as for the good things, performance-wise, everyone is good. Henry Cavill is once again the perfect choice for Superman. A lot of people are not giving him enough praise for his performance in this movie. There are moments where he sells everything going on, and every scene with him is perfectly engaging. He actually spends a lot more time as Clark in this movie than Superman, which I actually kind of appreciated because I enjoyed all his scenes. His whole conflict in this movie of, what am I supposed to do? How can I do this? How can I make this work with everyone? Is really well represented in the little time it gets to be represented, and he is responsible for that. I am emotionally invested in him. I am rooting for him every step of the way. I want to see what happens next for this Superman. Then you have Ben Affleck as Batman. I actually don't like him in this movie. This Batman is a wacko, he's a weirdo, he's a lunatic. And the thing is, you can make all this work in a Batman movie, but it's not. It has to be a Batman and Superman movie, so the focus is all over the place. I don't get what's going on with him. He has all these weird dream sequences. He's killing people. He's not being Batman. He's just being the violent nutjob DC wants because they think if they just push the envelope and make this dark, they can compete with Marvel. But it's not working because the dude is absolutely crazy. And the thing is, the whole conflict between these two doesn't really work because of this. You need one of these guys to be able to think that they are on the moral high level. That is why they're judging the other. But the thing is, when Batman just flat out is killing people in this movie, he has no leg to stand on. I don't believe him. I don't side with him. And it sucks because when Ben Affleck does get some scenes to just act, he is very good. That scene you see of him in the trailer just watching the destruction in Metropolis and all the emotion on his face is a perfect scene. And it is in this movie. And several scenes like that do work in this film. But again, there's not enough time for it. It's just constantly going back to all the other subplots. And it really just honestly made this probably my least favorite Batman interpretation. At least in Dark Knight Rises, even though Bruce Wayne was a whiny baby, he still tried and did something that felt like Batman. This didn't feel like Batman. This felt like the Unabomber. Then we get into Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I actually like it. I really enjoyed him in this movie. He is a nutcase. He is bizarre. He is fidgety. He is very much typical Jesse Eisenberg. But when he does get into the range of being the evil, intelligent Lex Luthor, I actually was scared. I really liked his performance. It was weird. It was different. It actually brought the character in a neat new direction that I really enjoyed. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is also a big surprise. Every scene she's in, I'm super excited for. She's very engaging. You want to learn more about her. I can't wait for her standalone now. And anyone who says that Gal Gadot is a bad choice, watch this movie. It'll be probably the one major positive. Amy Adams as Lois Lane is also very good. I like her a lot more in this movie. She's doing more like journalism stuff. That was really cool to watch. There really is a lot to like in this movie. It just doesn't really come together till the last third, but it doesn't come together in the way people were expecting. Everyone was expecting to be rooting for Batman in this fight, but I think most people will side with Superman. Half of this movie is just all over the place, and then it finally turns into the Man of Steel sequel they were claiming this wasn't. So it really just makes me wonder, what were they trying to do here? Well, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to set up for Justice League in the most shameful ways possible. Literally, there is a total of 10 minutes in this movie that they just put aside for Justice League that has nothing to do with this movie. There's too many dream sequences, and honestly, it's just kind of a mess. Until you get into the final third and Batman and Superman fight, and then it gets awesome. I loved every second in the last third of this. It was heart-pounding, it looked great, it was shot great, and that is worth watching. Unfortunately, the ending for this movie then draws a comic book source that I won't spoil here, but it felt just so blatant just to keep fanboys interested. It honestly just pissed me off more than anything else. So, all in all, is Batman v Superman good? No. As a whole, it is not good. There are elements of it that are good, and there are things I liked in it very much. But the difference between something like this and Amazing Spider-Man 2, our last shameful plug for future sequels movie, the difference is that in that film, there was still a cohesive narrative and story going on. The problem was they just diverted from it too much. But there was a linear point A, point B, point C. Here there isn't. It's random scenes, and then a movie starts up in the last third, but then that just goes away for some ridiculous thing that I didn't think was necessary. The difference between these two movies is that one was still trying to be a movie. This, clearly, the directors, the writers, they don't care. They want to set up future sequels. They don't care about Superman. They don't care about Batman. I don't know what to expect from Justice League. All I know is Suicide Squad still looks awesome. Wonder Woman still looks awesome. But as for this movie, I think you'll have to see it for yourself. That's kind of the best I can say about it. If you're fine with this darker tone, and if you like the things they do in this movie, you're going to like this film, and you're just going to think I'm a Marvel fanboy. But when all's said and done, no, I'm sorry, this movie isn't good. But what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on Batman v Superman, and where you think this is leading for the DC Universe. And as always, click to like, and click to subscribe, because hey, at least we've got Civil War coming soon.